Dear students, we are going to see presently the architecture of the microprocessor 8085. Before seeing the architecture, we have to see the evolution of the microprocessors. 8085 is an 8-bit processor, and you can see in the first figure, after 8085, the 16-bit processor 8086 is there. Then the next advancement is 8186, 286 and 8386. It is actually a 32-bit processor. Then 486, finally 80586. But the scientists did not call this as 80586. Instead of 5, they used the word Pentium. So it is a Pentium processor 1. After that, Pentium 2, 3 and 4 is now in the market. If you have a computer in your house, Pentium 4 is inside. Pentium 5 is still in the research and it has not come to the market. And the architecture of 8085 basically consists of 3 units. One is the registers. You can see this in the second figure. Next one is the arithmetic logic unit, and the third one is the control unit. These are the 3 important units in a microprocessor. If anybody wants to learn about the microprocessor, they have to go through these 3 independent units. First, the registers. So the next figure shows you the registers. What are the registers available in 8085? And these registers can be classified as 1. Registers accessible to user. That is, user means the programmer, it is you. You can put data in these registers, take out data, that is, data handling can be done using these registers. The second type is registers not accessible to user. Microprocessor reserves certain registers for its own use. You cannot put data in these registers and you cannot handle any type of data. But we are not interested about the second type. Our concern is on this first type, because we are going to use these registers while executing a program. The first type of registers accessible to user can be further classified into 2 groups. You can see this in the next figure. The first one being the general purpose registers, shortly called as GPRs, and the second type is the special function registers, shortly called as SPRs. First we consider what are the general purpose registers in 8085. There are only 6 general purpose registers in 8085. They have a name. All these registers are 8-bit capacity. That means you can put a data of 8-bit, that is 1 byte data can be stored in them. These registers are used for the temporary storage of data. In other words, you can call these registers as scratch pads. These registers have the name B, C, D, E, H and L. And in this figure, you can also note that the C register is by the side of B register, and E register is by the side of D register, and L register is by the side of H register. It is because this microprocessor 8085, even though it is an 8-bit processor, it can handle 16-bit data by pairing the registers. That means C register can be paired with B, E register can be paired with D, and L register can be paired with H. So we have 3 pairs only, BC pair, the DE pair and HL pair. The registers cannot be paired with any particular combination, only these pairs are permitted. Of these 3 pairs, The HL pair has a special significance in the sense that it is called a memory pointer. It is used to hold the address of a memory where the data can be stored. Actually, memory is an external chip, separate chip. There is no memory inside the microprocessor. Microprocessor can address the memory and handle a data. This is how memory is used externally with the microprocessor. After this, we can see the special function registers. The first and foremost register, important register in any microprocessor is the accumulator. This accumulator is also 8-bit wide. That means it can handle 1 byte of data. There are 3 important functions in 8085 accumulator. That is, number 1, all data processing including arithmetic and logical operations is performed with one data in accumulator. That is, one data is held in accumulator is a necessary condition. The second point or second function of the accumulator is that after the operation is over, the result is automatically stored in the accumulator. This is the second important function. Automatically the result is stored in the accumulator. The third one being accumulator is involved in all external data handling. In other words, we can say a data from an input device enters into the microprocessor through accumulator. From the microprocessor it goes out through accumulator only. That is, accumulator is the only register in the microprocessor for handling external data from input device or output device or any memory and so on. And after seeing this accumulator, its 3 functions can be well explained by this figure, what is called the functional diagram of accumulator. Let us consider a very simple program to add 2 numbers, say 05 and 04. That is, 05 is one data and 04 is another data. So accumulator holds the data 04. The another data 05 can be held in any other register, GPRs, say B register. From B register and A register, these 2 data enter into the arithmetic logic unit, which is going to perform the arithmetic function or logical function. After you give this instruction add B, that is, the contents of B register is added with contents of A, the result is automatically stored in accumulator. And this is the functional diagram of accumulator. Next in the special function registers is the stack pointer. It is a 16-bit register. It is used to hold the address of a stack. Stack is some area in the memory where extra data are stored. And the next special function register is the program counter. It is also 16-bit. It holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. So what we do when we execute a program is, we write the program, enter the program in the memory. Then we ask the microprocessor to go to that memory location and execute the program, executing one instruction after another instruction in a particular sequence. This is how the program is started and executed from the first instruction till to the last instruction halt. So the program counter holds the addresses of the instructions in a particular order. When one instruction is being executed, it will hold the address of the next instruction readily. And these are some of the important special function registers. The next concept you have to understand in the architecture of 8085 is the buses. Bus, B-U-S, bus means a group. We travel from one place to another place in the form of a group. That is why the buses in 8085 is nothing but a set of lines. Suppose 8-bit data is to be handled, we require 8 lines. These 8 lines are called a bus. When we use these 8 lines to send a data, these 8 lines are called data bus. In 8085, we have 3 important buses. The first bus is the data bus, which is 8-bit wide. You can see in this figure. And the second bus is the address bus, which is 16-bit wide. Using these 16 lines, the microprocessor can address a memory of 64,000 locations approximately. So the memory addressing capacity of 8085 is 64 kilobytes. The third bus is the control bus, which is used to send control signals, including the clock signals and other signals, just like memory read, memory write, interrupt, acknowledge, and other lines. These utility lines or control lines are shown in the next figure. And there are nearly 40 pins for this 8085, and we call these lines as utility lines. And these are not actually the pin configuration, but these are the functions of the various pins available in 8085. And in the next figure, we can see the bus structure in 8085. Bus structure in 8085 explains the 2 important buses in 8085 and their arrangement. First, you can see the bus AD0 to AD7. It is an 8-line bus which is used for 2 different purposes. First one, it is used to carry the lower byte of address A0 to A7, and this address is latched in some place using the address latch enabled signal ALE. After the address is latched, these 8 lines are free now, and they can be used for some other purpose, that is for sending the data D0 to D7. So these 8 lines are used for 2 different purposes, one for sending the address A0 to A7 first, and then D0 to D7. So these 8 lines are called multiplexed lines, or AD0 to AD7 is a multiplex bus. This is called multiplexing. That is, multiplex means many. The next type of 8 lines, what you see at the top, is AA to A15. These are unidirectional lines meant for sending the higher byte of address only. That is, microprocessor can address memory and memory cannot address back the microprocessor. That is why they are called unidirectional, and further they are used only for sending the higher byte of address. So this bus is called a dedicated bus. Dedicated means having only one aim, and this figure explains the bus structure, dedicated bus and multiplex bus structure and 8085. After seeing this basic architecture, now the next important thing is to know about the instruction set. The architecture of 8085 is the first thing you have to learn. Second thing is you have to give the instruction to the microprocessor so that it can do anything for you. Sometimes the microprocessors or even computers are called efficient fools. Efficient in the sense they can do any type of work for you. They can solve complex problems, any length of calculation, give very accurate results. In that sense, they are very efficient. Fool in the sense they cannot make their own decision. According to the instruction you have given, you have written in the program, they only do that job. If a particular condition is true, they will execute a particular instruction. If the condition is false, they will execute another instruction. So it is the next important thing to write a program efficiently using the correct instructions. So the important thing now is to learn about the instruction set of 8085. The instruction set means a collection of instructions. What are the various commands you can give? Every microprocessor has a set of instructions. In 8085 there are nearly 100 instructions, and these instructions can be broadly classified into 5 groups. The first group you can see in the next figure is the data transfer group. How data is transferred from one place to one register to another register and so on. And in this data transfer instruction, they are also called as copying instructions, because when you transfer data from one place to another place, the data in the first place is not lost, it is intact. For example, you consider move A to B. The data in A register is transferred to B register. The data in A register will be there intact. So they are also called as copying instructions. The second one is the arithmetic instruction. In the arithmetic instruction, as far as 8085 is concerned, there are only 4 types, and these are the addition instructions, the subtraction instruction, increment and decrement. 8085 microprocessor has no instruction to perform multiplication or division directly. Using repeated addition or repeated subtraction can perform multiplication or division respectively. So these are the instructions coming under the second group, arithmetic. The third type you can see in the figure is the logical instruction. Again here you have 3 or 4 types of logical instruction: AND, OR, NOT and exclusive OR instructions. These are the 4 types of logical instructions, and the NOT instruction is meant for the accumulator only. You can use other registers for the remaining 3 logical operations. The fourth one is the branching instruction, which you can also call as the control instructions. And these instructions are used while making any decision to test a certain condition. If the condition is true, the branching will take place to a particular location. If the condition is false, the branching will be otherwise. So these branching instructions are called the control instructions, and microprocessor frequently tests certain conditions and makes a decision. Then the last one is the stack, IO and machine type of instructions. Stack instructions, there are only 2, push and pop. What is a stack? A stack is some area in the user memory. If the GPRs are not sufficient, because we are having only 6 GPRs, B, C, D and HL. If these 6 numbers are not sufficient, you can put the data in the user memory, calling them as a stack. How to put the data? The contents of BC register can be pushed to the memory using the instruction push. Similarly, data can be taken back from the memory using the instruction pop. So there are 2 types of instruction for stack operation, namely the push and the pop. Finally, we have the input output instruction in 8085, simply in port number and out port number. You can see in the next diagram that the data from input device 2 is accepted by the microprocessor when you give the instruction N2, and after doing some calculation, the data is sent out to a device called 4 with a port number 4. So out 4 is the instruction to take data from a microprocessor to the output device. So in and out are the 2 types of instructions. When data is handled between the microprocessor and external devices, microprocessor can execute certain programs to control the external devices. For example, let us consider how the microprocessor is used for a temperature control, or the control of the speed of a motor, or for monitoring the pressure of a boiler and so on. So these external devices may require the help of the microprocessor. For example, if you want to maintain the temperature of a boiler constant, the microprocessor periodically checks the temperature with a particular reference. If the temperature exceeds, then the microprocessor will cut the current. So you can write small programs called subroutines inside the memory and execute the program to control these devices. How these devices communicate with the microprocessor is with the help of certain lines called the interrupt lines. Now we are in a position to learn what are the interrupts available in 8085. There are 5 hardware interrupts available in 8085. Hardware means they are available in the form of a pin. Interrupts can be made by software means also, by instructions also. But the 5 hardware pins in 8085 are shown in the next figure. The first one is RST 4.5. It is at the top. RST means restart. That means microprocessor is instructed to restart the execution from some other location called 4.5, RST 4.5. It has a certain memory location, and this RST 4.5 has a name, different name called trap, TRAP. When an interrupt occurs on this line, microprocessor is trapped, just like a mouse trap. Microprocessor is trapped. It cannot execute any other program. It has to go to the subroutine and do that execution. So this RST 4.5 or the trap interrupt is called a non-maskable interrupt. Microprocessor cannot ignore this interrupt. It has to go to a subroutine and execute that subroutine to control the temperature or the electric current or speed of a motor immediately. The next 3, they are written separately with a gap. These are maskable interrupts. That means microprocessor can mask these interrupts using 2 instructions called set interrupt mask and read interrupt mask, SIM and RIM. In other words, microprocessor can ignore these interrupts, or it can consider these interrupts after some delay. So these 3 are maskable interrupts. And the last one is also written separately. You can notice in the figure, it is called INTR, a general purpose interrupt. And these interrupts, 5 hardware interrupts, have certain priority. Priority in the sense they have the importance, significance. The topmost priority is given to the interrupt RST 4.5, and the priority order is from 4.5 down to INTR, which you can see in the diagram very clearly. So the lowest priority is to INTR, the general purpose interrupt. Now, if the devices are connected to these various interrupts, and in one particular case, let us consider 2 devices are asking for interrupt. So one through RST 5.5 and another one RST 7.5. Of these, RST 7.5 is having the highest priority. So microprocessor will attend the subroutine of this interrupt first, and then it will consider the interrupt occurring at RST 5.5. And this is the priority order of the 5 hardware interrupts available in 8085. And these interrupts can be connected to the external devices. When there is a need, these devices can interrupt the microprocessor and ask for the servicing of the subroutines. Microprocessor, after getting the interrupts, it will acknowledge the device by sending out a signal called INTA with a bar on the top. That is, it is a low active signal. These signals are available in the microprocessor pins. Next, the other important concept what you have to learn about the microprocessor 8085 is the addressing modes. So in the next figure you can see there are 5 addressing modes available in 8085. The addressing modes are different for different microprocessor. Now we are concerning only the addressing modes of 8085. The first addressing mode is the register addressing mode. That means addressing mode means how data is handled, how we specify the data. The first one is the register addressing mode. In this, the name of the register is mentioned in the instruction. For example, we can consider the instruction move A to B. That means the data in A register is moved into the B register. The name of the registers A and B are mentioned in the instruction. So it is called a register addressing mode. That is, the data is addressed by specifying the name of the register where it is held. Next, the second type of addressing mode is the direct addressing mode. Suppose we have a data in the memory and the memory location has an address 4200. We can now use this address in this instruction. Load accumulator 4200. That means the microprocessor loads the accumulator with the data available in the memory location 4200. This addressing mode is called direct addressing mode because the address of the data 4200 is directly mentioned in the instruction. So in the instruction itself you can see from what is the address where the data is stored. The third type is the indirect addressing mode, in which the address of the data is not mentioned in the instruction. You cannot see that address in the instruction. Suppose the instruction is like this: move M to B. Move M to B. Here the word M is used. M stands for the address, memory location, whose address is in the HL pair. HL pair is holding the address. So the address is not mentioned in the instruction, but it is held in the HL pair. So we use indirectly the letter M, move M to B. This is called indirect addressing. The memory address can be in any one of the pairs, BC pair, DE pair, HL pair. If it is in HL pair, we are going to use this letter M. Otherwise, we are going to use the letters B and H. The fourth one is the immediate addressing mode, in which the data is neither in a register nor in a memory location. For example, you can consider move immediate A, comma, the data. Data is directly loaded in the A register. Add immediate some number. So the data directly it is added with accumulator or moved into the particular register. This is the fourth type of addressing mode. The last one is called the implicit addressing, which is concerned with accumulator only. For example, rotate left accumulator, rotate right accumulator, and so on. You can see in the last figure that how data is rotated in an accumulator either through the 8 bits or through 9 bits including the carry. Rotate left and rotate right. There are 4 types of rotate instructions which are concerned with accumulator only, and that is why they are, this type of addressing mode is called implicit addressing. So the microprocessor is a single chip integrated circuit, and it consists of as many as 40,000 transistors inside, and it is fabricated using the hybrid technology, micro technology, and it is a very powerful device, and there are many versions available, but basically all microprocessors have the 3 important units inside: the registers, arithmetic logic unit, and control unit. First you have to learn about the architecture. Then after learning the architecture, you have to be thorough with the instruction set so that you can write powerful programs. A powerful program or the efficient program is one which is written using minimum number of instructions. After learning the instruction set, one must know how to address the data, that is using the different types of addressing modes. If anybody is thorough with these three topics, they can be later become masters of these microprocessors. Thank you.